Hello again, and welcome to Void Signal. I'm the host of this business, Brian Prime. I hope things are well for you and that you're surviving out there in our turbulent times. I've got a new episode for you today, and this one is a conversation with the incredibly talented Megan McDuffee. Megan is an award-winning producer, composer, and vocalist whose work spans a wide creative spectrum. In addition to her personal music project, which is a rich blend of dark synths and cinematic textures, she's also collaborated with notable electronic producer Alex. Megan has scored for film, television, and video games, including the hit title River City Girls. Her sound is equal parts emotion, precision, and atmosphere. We sat down recently to talk about her creative process, along with her journey through different corners of the music world, recent explorations into new scenes, and what it means to carve out a path as an independent artist in today's industry. It's a fascinating conversation, and I think you'll enjoy it. But before we get into that, I just want to mention once again that Void Signal is made for people, not algorithms, not advertisers, and it's always been ad-free and powered by listeners like you. You can help support the creation of more Void Signal for as little as $2 a month. Please consider visiting voidsignal.net or patreon.com/voidsignal to sign up. It really helps keep the lights on, and I'm deeply appreciative of everyone who contributes. So thanks for your consideration. Void Signal's intro is courtesy of Processor. Visit processor2.bandcamp.com for more Processor, or search for Processor anywhere you get music. Okay, our time is at an end. As always, thank you so much for listening. It is a pleasure to do this for you. Until next time, please stay safe and stay loud. Hello.
Hey there. Am I present?
Yes, you are present. I'm checking my levels and everything over here right now. Okay, you sound perfect. I'm just getting over being sick, so I might sound a little more gruff than normal from all my extra coffee I've been having to do.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, no good. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome to Void Signal. I am your host, Brian Prime. My guest this week is Megan McDuffee. You are an award-winning composer, a music producer, and you've done video games and trailers for film, and you have tended to be leaning farther and farther into the sort of dark electronic scene, and which is how I found you. And yeah, anyway, you seem like a fabulously talented person, and I'm grateful for your time. So thank you so much. My first question will just be to you, just sort of, where did you come from? What made you end up down this path of success that you found?
First off, thanks for having me. Happy to be here. It's one of those questions that doesn't have the most solid of answers other than I was meant to do this, if that makes sense.
Sure.
I've always just been a musician. It's been my focus since day one. I was singing as soon as I was talking. Yeah, it's been my whole life's journey. There was never a question about doing anything else with my life. So I guess with that being my singular focus, that is how I ended up where I am today. And yeah, the specific trajectories that it's taken were as a result of me trying various things until I found out where I best would thrive.
Gotcha. And do you feel like it's, when you say a thing that you would thrive in, did you have a moment like early in your youth or in your passion for music that made you end up favoring sort of a darker color palette in your art taste?
I've always just enjoyed listening to darker music, watching darker things, sci-fi, fantasy, horror. That's just kind of been something that I've been attracted to forever since I can remember. So sure. I guess in that sense, it's just, it's where I enjoy to be. And then I guess since I enjoy being there, it created my influences.
Yeah, sure. That makes sense. So you've done soundtrack work, and I know quite successfully. And I know that you've recently been working on a synthwave cover album. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, what started as a social experiment that I had no real goals or plans for other than I was just kind of like, I'm going to challenge myself and produce a little cover thing I know my video game soundtrack folks and a lot of the colleagues I have are very into dark synthwave, which is something I like to do anyway. So yeah, I kind of just challenged myself. This would have been last July, so just over a year ago. I started posting these little snippets on Instagram, and the very second one that I posted kind of blew up. And I was surprised and ecstatic. And from that moment on, I was like, okay, there's clearly a desire for this in my audience. So might as well run with it. And people were asking about me putting together an album. So yeah, I released most of the tracks as singles to kind of, keep the momentum up. And I have a couple tracks that did really well as Instagram reels that are included in the album that nobody has heard yet. So those are the like tasty little extra treats that people will get with this album. And yeah, it's just been a little side project that I've been chipping away at for a while. And it's cool that it was just born out of fan excitement. It was never really something that I considered until those things exploded.
Yeah. And speaking of a fantastic answer, but I was also, I wanted to mention, you mentioned fan excitement, and that is a thing that I have to praise you for. Your social media is very active and very well assembled, and you have definitely done a fantastic job of marketing yourself and your various talents and things that you do. Tell me about a little bit about kind of the background of what goes into that. I mean, it must be, I do it not nearly as well or as much as you seem to. So I can only imagine like the extra work that must go into that.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things that I was pretty much just trying a bunch of different techniques, different locations, different styles of content. And this iteration that I've been working in for the past year since I started posting the covers, it's just the one that stuck. I don't know why previous things weren't as latched onto, but they weren't. So I just kind of kept trying and iterating until I found something that stuck with people. I think I was overthinking it, honestly, at the beginning, trying to be a little too produced, if that makes sense. I kind of had it in my mind that like something that looks like a really polished music video is going to enhance my brand and tell the story that I wanted to tell, but it wasn't as relatable. And I think that's where it fell short for me. So yeah, like once I found a format that seemed to work, something that was clearly thought out, but not super unapproachable for people. Cause like, you can tell I'm just sort of doing a fun thing in a small bedroom like anybody would have. And it's got some cool lights and that's about it. So it's very relatable. And I think that's really what made it stand out for people is it looks polished and thoughtful, but not unattainable.
Sure.
Yeah. And like I said, I just tried over and over and over again different things until I found what worked.
Yeah.
Now I sort of have a formula for it, and that makes it a lot easier.
Yeah. Kind of to your point, I've heard critics and thinkers say that we are living in an age of authenticity. And I do find that to be true in that now sort of everyone on your feed is potentially a journalist, news source, advertisement, someone marketing themselves, as myself and you are familiar with. So I do think that I do agree with you. I think that, and I do mostly agree with that consensus that this is an age of authenticity for that reason. But I feel sometimes that that is a very difficult line to walk, at least in my own experience of like, how far do I go as who I am as a person versus this entity that I've made. I have the luxury of a name change, but you are Megan McDuffie from the moment you wake up in the morning. So how difficult is it to navigate in that respect?
It's really not. I feel like every side of me, whether that's super casual or super polished and produced, is all very much me. It's just different facets of me. So people can kind of see, I don't know, I've always just sort of wanted to brand me as the brand because I don't know, that felt the most authentic.
Sure. Okay. Makes sense. You don't, do you find it like intrusive into your personal life at times, or is that a problem you've ever faced?
Luckily, that is not a problem that I've had to wrestle with. It's still maintaining sort of surface level enough.
Sure.
There definitely was a time where I was wrestling with the idea of basically splitting my brand into like Megan, the video game composer, soundtrack producer, trailer producer, and then the artist version of me as two separate things because I was worried that people that like one of those things might not like the other because there are quite a few different styles that I produce, or, you know, a game project will have a completely different spec than one of my artist tracks, for instance.
Sure.
So I definitely wrestled with the fact that like, well, what if somebody comes for a game soundtrack, but here's my artist stuff and doesn't like it? Or what if somebody finds me on Spotify and the first thing they hear is like a 90s hip hop video game song that I collaborated on? That's not really the most, I don't know, accessible version of myself. I'm glad that I kind of stuck with just being me in all realms. I don't know. It seems to be working out.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I can definitely understand your concern there because as you were talking, it was, you know, sort of forefront of my mind of like, your styles are very different, but, you know, I would hate to split up a thing, you know, sort of your body of work, because then it's maybe not representative of your full skill set. Whereas, you know, now you have the luxury of that sort of cross pollination. Can you, I know that you've probably had some good luck with cross pollination. Someone arrives for one thing and stays for another. Can you talk a little bit about how much success you've found with that? Yeah.
For that specifically, the cross pollination.
Yeah. And is there, and then just sort of an additional thought there, and is there anything in particular that you found to be really effective in sort of making that happen or facilitating it to happen?
Yeah, that's a good question. There's definitely been some synergy and cross-pollination, as you say. Absolutely. I'd say it's heavily skewed for the people that hear my work in games and then come along for the ride for the artist stuff. That's, I would say, like 80%. And my favorite, though, is the opposite, where somebody will hear something I've posted on Instagram, for instance, and then say, wait a minute, I totally recognize your voice now. It's all coming together. I've totally played River City Girls. So that's kind of my favorite, where they like have a eureka moment that I've been in their life for longer than they realize. Those are just so funny to me.
Yeah.
What facilitates it? I don't know. People kind of find me everywhere. Like I said, the video game stuff tends to be the most heavily trafficked, and then they sort of find my ancillary projects from there. But with the rise of activity on my Instagram, people are definitely finding my music through there more and more often. So I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of evened out at some point where it was a 50-50 split between games and social.
Nice. Excellent. I am glad to hear that that has been the case, of that cross-pollination happening as effectively as it seems to. Will you ever perform live a set of your own original songs or covers or whatever?
I would like to, the caveat being that it would have to be worth it.
Sure.
By that I mean that it is far more easy and financially makes more sense for me to be a studio artist and work on soundtracks, for example. The like physical overhead for prepping, schlepping, performing a live set, booking my own gigs, finding places to play,
Sure,
determining if I even have a local audience. There's just so much that goes into that, and I would have to do it simply for the love of it. It would not be a financial thing for me, at least at the beginning. But yeah, it's something I do want to explore eventually, but I think I'm not quite there yet. I would want it to be a bigger production. I would want it to be me and at least 2 or 3 other people on stage as a band, rather than just me by myself with a keyboard.
Yeah.
So at some point, I would love to do that when it makes both financial and creative sense.
Yeah, agree. And yeah, that does make sense given your position. And yeah, nobody really wants to see dude with laptop. And if that's the case, person with laptop up there doing their thing, like there better be a lot of production going into this thing, like a good backing video or interesting things. Show me you're pushing your buttons on time, and let me see that there's an actual performance happening instead of just like, isn't this great? Yeah, nobody wants that.
Let me just fist pump for the whole set.
Yeah. This fist bump really gets the crowd going.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it makes sense too, because now that you do have this established brand for yourself that has a lot of polish, a lot of quality to it, I do feel like my expectation as a fan of your work, if I were going to see you live, my expectations would be a little elevated. I would be like, okay, this is going to be just as slick as what she's producing through her socials. So
yes, and that's what I would want it to be for people. I would want the expectation to be met. I have high expectations for myself, so I don't see why other people wouldn't have those as well.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Aside from possible playing a show at some point in the future, what is next on your agenda for yourself? What's the next big project that you are going to sink your teeth into? Can you talk about it at all?
There are, let's see. There's one main project that I'm kind of just getting started on. It's a game, but I can't say any more than that at this point. Should be an interesting challenge given the company and the IP, I guess. It's a lofty one. So that's exciting, but also a little terrifying. We'll see how it goes. I have a feeling it's going to be a good challenge. Like perhaps I will in the moment be frustrated with revisions and, people being very nitpicky, but in the end, I'll probably come away with something I'm very, very proud of. That's just my gut sense on this one. As far as personal projects, I, as you know, have just kind of wrapped up this cover album. It drops on August 22nd, which is very soon. After that, I plan on doing an album sort of in a similar style, but originals, and probably a little grittier and grimier. So more along the lines of maybe Perturbator, or who's another good example? I don't know, just a darker synthwave.
You had me at Perturbator. Yeah, great choice.
Yeah, I really, really enjoy his stuff, from his earlier works to his more like gothic and dark wave stuff nowadays. I love his sound. So I think that my audience would really like it too if I were to attempt something like that. And I think you've heard Leviathan, which was a single that I released fairly recently. That's kind of the direction I'm playing with, but even darker than that.
Gotcha. Excellent. And yeah, agree. Perturbator is awesome. All of his production sounds like very crispy and like very clean. And yeah, big fan. Have you ever seen Perturbator live? Also, I don't mean to derail your interview into let's talk about Perturbator, but have you seen Perturbator live?
I don't think
I feel like if you would have, you would definitely remember, because I caught them with Health in San Francisco some years back, and it was amazing. I was kind of a fan before, but after the performance and the light show, I was like, damn, this is so slick. Yeah. And it's exciting to hear that, like, you're going to, and I did hear Leviathan. It is excellent. And I'm excited for this darker lean, because I feel like that's a space that I'd love to see more of, and definitely from the angle of being female produced. We have things like Sierra and Earth and all these other great artists that operating in that space, Barahari and things like that. But like, we could just We could always use more. There is,
Yeah, there really aren't many, are there?
yeah.
Sierra is pretty much the only one I know who scratches the edge of that itch.
I have to also shout out Mary Catman. She's also sort of leaning that way and produces her own stuff and it's so good. It's so slick. And that was kind of a thing that I wanted to actually kind of pick your brain about a little bit, is that your music leans towards the, as we were just discussing, the sort of darker edge, darker electronic kind of stuff. But you are really sort of, or you seem to be operating in this space sort of adjacent to a lot of your contemporaries, I guess I would say. Some of the names that we just mentioned, like a Mary Catman or a Sierra or whatever. Why do you think that is? Do you think it's primarily just because you kind of came from a soundtrack world and this is sort of a newer sort of leaning for you, or what are your thoughts?
I was so focused on video game soundtracks for so long, all of which have very different requirements and different soundscapes that they're trying to achieve, that I've had to be, as you say, kind of flexible. And I don't know, I guess I don't really have a good answer for that. I'm just going to say
that. Okay. No, that's totally fine. And I mean, it's just, it's just happenstance, really, right? Like you've just been pursuing your own thing and just, it hasn't caught fire over here in this area that, at least to me as an outside observer, seems like ground that is fertile for a fire to catch. Of like, I can see the allure of what you're making for that scene. So I guess I'm just a little curious myself as to like, why hasn't this particular cross-pollination happened as of yet?
Yeah, I think it is because so much of my career so far has been soundtracks and trailers. And I feel like if I had started 13 years ago, which is when I, officially became a business, that if I had 13 years of just that singular focus and that specific style, I feel like I would have perhaps gotten farther. I put farther in air quotes because I'm doing great.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, how are we measuring this shit? So
right, exactly. It's all completely subjective. But yeah, I feel like if I was to have had one singular focus like that, a genre focus from the very beginning, it could be more recognizable in that space instead of having all of these crazy projects here and there over the years.
Sure. That makes perfect sense. And two, it's, it's also never too late for things to change and, for, new avenues to open up. And also I do think that probably your soundtrack background has its own advantages to it, right? Of like, you learned a craft, one that has sustained you and given you a lifestyle, and not a lifestyle. That's not the word I want to use, but like, you take my meaning. Like, it's allowed you to pay your bills for doing a thing you love, and it in return got better at. So coming into it now, I do feel that has definitely given you an advantage. Would you agree?
I would agree. Yeah, I feel like I am positioned now with such an extensive toolkit and basically years and years and years to perfect my style of mixing and production. So at this point, it's really just about the time and figuring out how to best market it.
Yeah, and you are already good at that, so I have no doubt it is only a matter of time.
I'm still figuring it out as I go, so thank you.
So aside from music, it is very clearly the thing that gives you spark and animation from day to day, just hearing you talk about it. But aside from that, what else is Megan McDuffie's life filled with?
Well, right now it's filled with a crazy renovation/construction project, but that's not something that sustains me or brings me joy yet. It's just chaos. Yeah, other than music, a very solid passion of mine is dance, specifically pole dancing. It's a 3-in-1. I get my exercise, I get my just like shut everything else out of my brain except for choreography, and I get my social interaction with people that I really love and a community that is so much fun. So that's been a solid part of my life I think I've been doing it for 6 years now, about 2 to 3 hours a week.
Yeah. And I recall you telling me that you just tried it one day randomly and it just stuck. Is that right?
More or less. I went into a dance studio with a purpose. One collaboration I did actually about 6 or 7 years ago now. We were going to shoot this sort of epic short film / music video, and my character was going to distract the guards by doing this pole routine in a strip club. And I was like, I don't know how to do that, so I better learn some moves. And I went into the closest dance studio, which is about 5 minutes from my house, luckily. And yeah, from that very first class, I was absolutely hooked. I was like, oh my gosh, how have I not found this before? This is amazing.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. And you, do you do that a lot? Do you, plans to incorporate it into your own visuals? I also would hate to not mention that you also have a music video out that came out not that long ago. Very slick production, again, as usual, hats off. But seeing your dance in a music video at some point?
Yes. Yeah, there's definitely one. That's to my kind of grunge 90s inspired track called Forgive Me. That's a pole dance routine, the entire video. That was just sort of like, well, I'm up here shooting this other thing. Maybe we can best utilize the week that I'm here and shoot this other one. So I hope to incorporate it more, even though I have to be a little careful with going too much into that or showing that side of me too much, just because I work with so many different companies and personalities that there's still a stigma attached to it.
Sure.
In certain communities, not all communities, of course, but yeah, I don't want, for example, like maybe Nintendo decides to check out some work, or like a family racing game or something. They probably wouldn't necessarily hire me if they saw something like that. So it just depends.
Sure. No, that makes sense. I mean, and it's a whole other aspect of your brand that I guess you have to consider is again, there's that sort of but just the double-edged sword, I guess, of keeping everything together is that you don't know where people are going to come from. And yeah, I've had some interactions with people that I'm like, oh, do I really want this person to know that I'm Void Signal and that, I say these things or I hold these ideas, and I have the luxury of being able to just say, yes, I do. I don't care. But for you, it's, it's tied to your main job. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Yeah. It fits with the artist side of me, but not necessarily the soundtrack producer side of me. So
sure. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So far, it hasn't been a problem. Yeah. Luckily.
Gotcha. Pursuits, passions other than the music and the dance? Do you have other projects that you work on artistically?
Yeah, I am a very big fan of the yarn arts. By that, I mean crocheting and knitting. I've been knitting for a long time, but just kind of more recently in the past few years, really gotten into crochet. And I find it so just relaxing and centering. So that's been a fun thing to work on.
What's the most elaborate thing you've crocheted?
Ooh, I probably have to say a dress. I made a full, floor length dress with full long sleeves, very boho, very Stevie Nicks. I'm super proud of it. It's really cool. It probably took me, I don't know how many hours it took me, but it was many, many months, probably about 8 months to finish it.
Yeah, nice. That's so cool. What did you use it for or wear it to?
I'm still figuring that out. I actually just wore it for the first time a couple weekends ago to a local witches market, which was the perfect venue for that kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. How did it go? Your test run of wearing this thing?
was great. Yeah, I got many compliments on it. It was comfortable. I wasn't too hot or too cold. So it was a success.
Nice. Excellent. That's very cool. What do you have other things that you would like to try in the future? I mean, you've already kind of like dabbled your fingers in a couple of different things. Like I said, your music video production is very slick, but would you ever want to try directing your own thing or acting, or what other avenues do you see yourself maybe exploring in the future?
Oh, for sure. I feel like this is often true with just creative people in general, and that is that they want to do lots of different creative things. I've always wanted to get back into visual art. I used to draw and paint all the time as a kid. That was my happy place for a while. So I feel like doing some painting might be really fun one of these days. And it's funny you mentioned acting because, again, that was one of my other passions when I was a youth. And it's been so much fun to combine my music with acting in sort of these longer form or more narrative driven music videos that I've been lucky enough to do over the last few years. As sort of a bucket list item for me, I would love to have the chance to kind of meld those two things together in like basically kind of appearing as myself in a movie or as almost a cameo. So like characters are in a bar and there's a live band playing in whatever scene in a film, and I would love to be the one playing in that band.
I feel like that is like a deep-rooted artist fantasy of like, if you make music, I want to be the cool band that's playing in the movie.
Yep, that's what I would love.
Yeah, good choice. All right, good answer. And I will go. I don't want to keep you too long, so I will go ahead and hit you with the last question of the show, which is just, what is something that you have been enjoying recently? And your answer can be anything: book, TV show, movie. Just what's something you're excited about when you wake up?
I recently, like as in this past weekend, I finished a very epic novel, sci-fi, and I've been thinking about it. It's one of those books where the last third, and now that I'm finished, has just made me think about it for days on end. So I've really been enjoying reading more lately and kind of forcing myself a little bit to not turn on Netflix, to not just binge YouTube and sit down with a book. And I'm so glad that I did, because that sci-fi book was absolutely incredible. I've been working on it for a while, but it felt really good to finally finish it.
Nice. What, did I miss the name of the novel?
No, I totally failed to mention it. It was called A Deepness in the Sky by Werner Vinge.
Gotcha. And what, just in short, what drew you to it?
It was a recommendation from my husband, and also it is the second book loosely related to the first one, which I had read earlier this year and quite enjoyed. But my husband was like, okay, I know like you liked the first one, but the second one's even better. So finally took the plunge because they're quite meaty. There's a lot of very like mind-blowing concepts. I feel like when I usually read a sci-fi novel, there's one really cool concept through the book, and it's like, oh, that's interesting. But I swear this author, he throws like 8 to 10 crazy concepts in one novel. I've never read anything quite like it.
Yeah, nice. Very cool. I'm woefully underread. It's been ages since I've finished a book. The last thing that and I used to love to read, especially like sci-fi stuff. Yeah. And, but yeah, I'm woefully behind on books and stuff. It's good that you can find time to read amongst all your other projects and things that you do, and all the work you put into both your jobs, really. So yeah, good job for reading a book.
Thank you. I work it out somehow.
Yeah, good on you for that. I always answer the question myself. The thing I've been enjoying recently is I haven't finished it yet, but I'm about 3 episodes into the latest season of Andor. And I do just have to say that, like, even if someone is not into the Star Wars, that's fine. This is the best Star Wars anything that you can put in your eyeballs. It's got all these wonderful... Have you seen it?
feel, did we watch one episode? I can't remember. I think we maybe watched one or two episodes a long time ago when it first came out, and then sort of got, sidetracked by other things.
Sure. The world.
But I've heard it's super good.
Yeah, I'm going to echo that sentiment. It is incredible. Just really wonderful themes discusses radicalization and what can galvanize people. And it is wonderful. It is fantastic. I can't say enough good things about it. Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, that is it. I don't want to keep you. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate having a chat with you again, and I look forward to the release of your synthwave album and all your other projects that end up coming in the future. Thank you again so much for your time and for the art you've made.
Sure. Thanks again for inviting me and having me on.
Void Signal intro and outro courtesy of Processor. Visit processor2.bandcamp.com for more Processor, and visit voidsignal.net to help support the creation of more Void Signal. Stay safe, stay loud.